Hello, everyone, and good afternoon, depending on what part of the world that you are in. I am anyway, in Lagos, Nigeria, and so it is 5 p.m. here. So I'll say good afternoon and greetings to you wherever in the world you're in. My name is Dr. Glory Edozian, and I am a LinkedIn visibility and thought leadership expert. I help female executives build powerful personal brands so that they can position themselves for board roles, speaking opportunities, leadership roles, any any top tier leadership position or opportunity that they desire. And today I have some fantastic women on the call with me. Did you see the stretch for that fantastic? Because I really need to emphasize that. We are discussing today female leadership and pioneering innovation. And these women have done exactly that. I find that many times women are in organizations and they're doing phenomenal things, but nobody is profiling or discussing with these women what they are doing differently that is making them pioneers. And the women here are really first of its kind in terms of the projects that they have run and the teams that they are building globally. So I'm super excited. They are all part of my cohort of the LinkedIn Visibility and Content Strategy program. So you know that they are top tier in every sense of the word. Before I introduce them, please make sure that you introduce yourself as well. Tell us your name and what city you're joining in from. I always like to say in these conversations that I am merely a facilitator. So please, if you have any questions of your own, make sure you put them in the chat and we will be sure to ask them. So please tell us your name wherever you're joining in from today and make sure that you ask your question and join the conversation. So today with me, I have the amazing Mpono Mosaase. I murdered that, didn't I? I murdered it.
Mosaase.
Mosaase. She
Yes.
is Commissioner, Operations Support and Revenue Services in Lesotho. And she has pioneered a lot of, in fact, I'll let her tell you a bit about herself in a bit, but trust me, phenomenal. Then I have Adaeze Kingsley-Anyanwu, Sector Head Personal Banking, Access Bank UK. Adaeze, so great to have you here with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And then finally, in the beautiful red, matching my red lipstick, is myself and Mpono's red lipstick, I should say, is the amazing Kemi Osinibi, the CEO of KemiO Consultancy. Kemi has lived many lives as an entrepreneur, and has pioneered innovation in her different entrepreneurial fields, and we'll be getting into grips with that. But I'm just going to give these women a minute or maybe 30 seconds each to just tell us a bit about themselves to set some context. Hi, Promise. Welcome. I can see you in the chat. Tell us what city you're joining in from today. So let me start with Kemi. Kemi, just in the next 20, 30 seconds, tell us a bit about you and the things that you've done as a pioneer in your industry.
So my name is Kemi Osinibi. It's great to be here. Great to share. As you said, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I started as an ex-corporate CFO. I decided to leave that job and follow my passion. And that was to innovate in the leisure industry. So to create entertainment for families and children. And after that, prior to that, I had created an oil and gas company. Prior to that, I had also created a training company as well. So I've tried many things, and innovation in all of that has always been about trying something new, being cutting edge, and always being curious.
Amazing. I love the cutting edge. And now, Kemi, you are helping entrepreneurs with data and AI and tech tools so that they can love their businesses again. So super interesting, Kemi. Yeah. So let me go to you, Adaeze. Adaeze, personal banking, innovation. Tell us a bit about that. What does that look like?
Thank you so much, Dr. Glory. I'm really excited to be here today. It's a real privilege. And yes, I'm happy to share as much as I can today. So I lead the personal banking sector of the Access Bank UK Limited, working out of the London office. Essentially, what I do is to create bespoke products to be able to deliver, whatever requirements that my customers need, banking needs, essentially. And this is done really through superior customer service delivery and also effective relationship management. It's a whole process which starts with, onboarding these clients and helping them go through the rigorous due diligence process required in a highly regulated environment, and taking them to the point where they understand exactly what to do, what sort of documentation is required, what the process is really from end to end. And, getting to the point where their business and personal banking requirements are met, essentially.
Fantastic. And I'm sure that involves a lot of process optimization, a lot of innovation in terms of understanding clients' needs and being able to sort of navigate that regulatory process. So super interesting, Adaeze. Thank you so much. Mpono, I'm coming to you. You as well, you've had a non-linear path in terms of your career working in different sectors. Tell us a bit about how innovation has played a role in your career.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mpono Mosaase from Lesotho, even as Dr. Glory has introduced me. And I have a career that spans over 25 years. And I started working for the government of Lesotho in the Ministry of Agriculture, developing policies for the agricultural sector, and moved on to the Central Bank of Lesotho, whereby I, as part of my innovative mind, introduced or developed a securities market, which is something that I'm so proud of today, because I see how so many years ago in 2009 to 2010, when I developed the bond market at the Central Bank of Lesotho, how the market is established today, and how investors, how the government is taking an opportunity through that securities market. And I have also worked for a multilateral organization, the SADC Secretariat, whereby my core duties were in policy and strategy, monitoring and evaluation. But again, because of that innovation spark, I ended up moving to establishing a risk management function for the organization, and left again and went back to the central bank as a chief risk officer. And I must say, I got there when the function was at a nascent stage, level 1 of maturity. And through the work that I did, and through the work that I did through the teams that I led, I left the central bank a month ago when it was at the highest level of maturity, being at level 5. And I'm currently at Revenue Services Lesotho as the Commissioner of Operation Support. And my portfolio consists of information technology, data analytics and management, marketing and client education, anti-smuggling and investigation, tax advisory, customs advisory, all the exciting stuff. And when I look at all this, Dr. Glory, it's basically because of the ability to innovate. And let me say this, because we often overcomplicate innovation. We often think it's what it's not. I like what Rowan Gibson says. He says innovation is challenging orthodoxies. All that I've been able to achieve has been because I've had that ability to challenge, what has always been in place. Why can't we do things different? It's about harnessing trends, recognizing the future potential and emerging developments, and leveraging on that. It's about understanding the needs and meeting them through other innovative ways. Thank you.
Amazing. I love that. It's really about challenging convention, challenging structures, challenging institutions, all for the sake of transformation. right?
Yes.
And making things better. So that fantastic way to get started. But we have people in the chat who I want to introduce as well. Thank you, Ada. Ada is joining us from Lisbon. Hello, Ada. Promise is joining us from Lagos. She says it's the bestest city in Nigeria. I kind of agree with her. Um, we also have a lot of people from Lesotho as well joining in. I don't want to try to pronounce the names because I don't want to offend, but we have Lebohang and Mamolilothi. I hope I did my best. I hope I did my best.
Mamototi.
And then we also have Atumina, who is coming from Port Harcourt, Nigeria. So we truly have a global audience here today. If you're coming in, just welcome. I'm here with these three phenomenal ladies discussing female leadership and pioneering innovation. Okay, Ugochi quickly says, I'm joining from Alabama. Hi, Ugochi. Fantastic. So let's really get into that connectivity between leadership and innovation, right? And let me come to you first, right, Kemi? Mpono has sort of given us a definition of innovation, but how do you define innovation and integrate that in your leadership approach?
I call that curiosity, to have that open mindset that is always seeking answers, that is always looking for how, as she said, how can I do this better? Why are we doing this like this? Is there a better way we can do it? When we're confronted with data, when we're confronted with any decision, what is driving our assumptions? Are we willing to test it? Are we willing to find that information that confirms what we believe? And also, are we willing to accept that what we think may not be the reality as well? And I think in leadership, it's having that mindset to allow your teams to have that space, to be able to say, okay, how we're doing it or what we're seeing may not actually be correct, and having that ability to challenge what has always been. And I think that if we think of the companies that are going from good to great, that is one of the key things that they use, which is innovation as part of leadership, so that people feel that they can try new things, and that when they make suggestions, they know that they're going to give it a go.
Amazing, Kemi. So it sounds like for innovation to thrive, there's a type of environment, right, that permits, and the leader is the one is responsible for creating that type of environment, an environment that embraces curiosity, openness, inclusion, but fundamentally autonomy as well, right? So freedom to question, to be flexible,
to take risks as well.
To take risks, fantastic, amazing. And I think, especially with the complex challenges that organizations are facing today, those types of out of the box thinking and environment is critical to thrive. Adaeze, what are your perspectives around leadership and innovation?
Yeah, I mean, Kemi has said really well. Innovation really is about change. It's about accepting the fact that, progress needs to be made, where there are lots of emerging issues, especially when you're dealing with customers. Like in my space, what we have found out, is that not two customers are the same, essentially. I mean, even the science of genetics tells us that identical twins are not necessarily the same, when you actually start looking at, that science. But I mean, that's a story for another day. So essentially, what I have come to see is that different customers have diverse needs, diverse requirements. Some of them may be tech savvy. Some would say, you know what, I would rather not deal with, technology. And as much as technology is that tool that helps us deliver efficiency, you also have to create solutions that can meet these customer requirements as well, these needs that are peculiar to these individuals. And that's what innovation is about. That's where it comes. And so you listen to them, listen to their pain points, and start thinking out what you can do differently to meet them at those points. And so that's really what it is that has helped us, even in personal banking, to create these bespoke products that meets every customer's needs, especially across that whole spectrum, from those who want to use electronic channels or would rather have their relationship managers intervene in their day-to-day banking, to those who just don't want anyone, calling them, because we deal with a lot of high net worth individuals, right? Ultra high net worth individuals, and people who we generally call HNIs. Essentially, these are busy executives, right? So they would have their priorities, they would have peculiarities. And so you always have to be able to figure out what it is that they require. And that's where, thinking out those great ideas and implementing them then come into place.
Amazing, Adaeze. For me, it sounds, I love the idea of that innovation could look like different things to different people, right? And the idea here is the customer is the focus as you innovate, right? We're not innovating to be trendy or disrupting the market just for the sake of disruption, but actually to offer value. And so if you're going to innovate correctly, you have to have the customer at the center of things.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So we have more people joining us. Isn't it from Abuja? Hi. We have Maraleboha from Lesotho. I hope I tried. We have Theodora from Manchester, UK. We have Olufunke from Lagos, Nigeria. If you're joining us, please tell us your name, what city you're joining in from today, and please feel free to ask your questions as well. Again, we are talking about female leadership and pioneering innovation. I want to come to you next because we're talking about innovation, but with your experience in risk management, right? How do you innovate with the demands of compliance and governance?
Okay, Glory. I like definitions because they help us understand what we're really talking about. And because you said, certain things can mean different things to people. We've already talked about innovation, and we know that governance is, a system of rules, processes. It's a system of relationships by which organizations are directed. And thinking of that, and also for the fact that we know that governance is something that is not static, it's something that's dynamic. Once we understand that, then we see that the two are not actually different. They are just polarities, and it's innovation and governance and innovation. It's innovation and governance and compliance, right? So for us to govern well, there has to be innovation. There is no way we are going to govern with a set of rules that were developed 50 years ago in this dynamic environment. So it's just about understanding what governance is about, and the fact that we shouldn't remain with the old beliefs and assumptions that don't hold anymore. But we bring in innovation to actually help us govern well in a changed environment, to help us be able to adapt. So from the risk management point of view, and also from the compliance, you, especially in our developing countries, you'll find that we're still working with a set of or pieces of legislation that is so old, and that makes it difficult to actually comply. But then we use influence as leaders to influence change of those pieces of legislation, to say that we are not in 1979. Goodness, some pieces of legislation are from 1976 when I was born. And we certainly cannot be working with those set of rules and regulations. So we, as leaders, we use our influence, and that comes, or that is informed by innovation, by new insights, new perspectives, so that those set of rules and laws can change for us to be able to adapt to the current environment. And apart from influence as well, we as especially from the risk management perspective, I keep on saying this, and I like to say that risk is not about the negative only. It's about also the opportunities that we are going to gain out of that. So it's about indicating what could be the opportunities, right? What could be the opportunities that can be unlocked through the influence, through changing and adapting, and even through not complying to archaic set of rules. So that's where the whole mix of leadership comes in, because you have to now maneuver. You cannot break the law, but you can maneuver while we are still going to a space where this set of rules and regulations would have changed, that inhibit or that would demand that we comply to things that are not serving organizations or the landscape anymore.
I think that's a fantastic response, especially so it's almost like, we're looking at all the stakeholders involved in an innovative process. So we have the leaders, we have the technology, we have governance, but governance is not here to stifle innovation. It's a partnership, right?
Yes.
And leaders influence for governance principles and strategies and transformative approaches that allow for innovation to thrive. And Kemi, immediately I want to come to you now, because we're talking about technology. Earlier on, I said, what you're doing for entrepreneurs around data insights. Can you just tell us a bit about that and how entrepreneurs can use technology and data to innovate in these climes?
So as an entrepreneur, one of the key things has been really finding ways to love your business. I believe that when you love what you do, you are open to curiosity, you are open to new insight, and that's where you're going to be willing to take risks and innovate. So for entrepreneurs right now, the biggest thing that's really happening is about data. It's about how you use your data, how you use your data to find opportunities in your business, because data is key. And most of the time we collect data, but we're not really mining it. We're not really taught how to use that data as well, how to mine it. So that's one of the things that I'm so passionate about, which is teaching people how to use the data that's within their business, because so many times when people see what's available to understand their customers, to understand products, to understand how to make profit, they love what they do. They understand why they grew in this business in the first place. And that's where the real joy of being an entrepreneur is for me. So I'm all about the tools. I love data. I love AI right now. I love anything that makes life easy, super easy. So that's one of the great things that that at the moment I just want to share and get people to understand.
I love that. As an entrepreneur, I mean, that makes so much sense to me. I want to be able to love my business again. I want to remember why I started, and also to be able to make informed decisions, right? And so all of these things, and obviously to make life easier. Yeah, so fantastic. We're getting lots of comments in the chat. Great insights. We also have somebody joining from Poland. We have Aqua joining from Accra. We have Olaide as well joining from Lagos. You are all welcome. If you're just joining, this is Female Leadership and Pioneering Innovation. Please feel free to ask your questions around how female leaders are pioneering innovations in their various sectors. And also feel free to leave your comments as well, or your aha moments in the chat. So, Liz, I want to come to you, and I really want to talk about team leadership and innovation. So we've heard Mpono talk about how leaders can influence governance practices, so that we are not constrained. We're not working in a constrained environment. But how do you encourage your team to embrace and implement innovative ideas?
Thank you, Dr. Glory. So, with innovation comes change, comes disruptions. And what do we say about change? Nobody really likes it. Everyone is initially resistant to change, right? But as human beings, what we want is to have that sense of uh, that sense of belonging, that sense of community. We also want, to be able to understand. So when people have clarity around why certain changes are being made, and they can also see themselves, in that change, benefiting from it, growing through that process, I think they would typically embrace it. So it's important as leaders, okay, leading teams, vibrant teams. I mean, people come to work because it pays them at the end of the month, but also because they want to develop, they want to grow. People go on to become their own entrepreneurs. They become entrepreneurs. They want to lead their own businesses, but it's with all. I mean, they take all the experiences and skill sets that they have built over time, and so it's important to always carry your team along. It's important to let them know why the changes have to be made in the first instance. You need to be able to also explain to them what they stand to benefit, teach them, train them, upskill them when necessary, let them see what the larger picture really is. I think it's about vision, it's about clarity, it's about helping them understand what needs to be done. And like we have talked about influence, that's really what it is. Using what you have to also be able to help other people understand exactly what the benefits really are for these changes. So essentially, for me, as someone who leads a team, it's always important to communicate effectively at every point of that innovation, from the ideation stage down to where you actually implement it. Yeah.
Amazing. So, in other words, it's innovation management, right? So, just like how you have change management, there's innovation management. So, managing the communication and the process of
Of change.
yeah. So fantastic. Thank
Absolutely.
you for that, Adaeze. Mpono, I want to come to you. So you've mentioned the various sort of sectors that you've worked in, and pioneering securities in Lesotho. But I'm interested in the challenges that you may have faced as a young woman pioneering innovation in government structures, institutional structures. So tell us about that. What sort of challenges have you faced, and how have you overcome?
Okay. One of the greatest challenges that I first of all came head on with would be having opponents to the change and the transformation that I was leading. And with that, I have to say stakeholder management and knowing how to handle different stakeholders comes in very handy. It comes in very handy. As I mentioned when I started here, Dr. Glory, that when I joined the Central Bank of Lesotho, they were at a nascent stage of maturity in risk management. What would see us transform and be at the highest level of maturity when I left was stakeholder management, proper stakeholder management. A lot of opponents had been turned into ambassadors, into champions, by knowing just how to navigate, just how to relate, and sometimes remaining authentic, not really manipulating people into becoming your supporters. But I will tell you a simple thing, like just showing how a person is valuable, just showing them how valuable they are in the process, how as a nation, even beyond an organization, we are going to benefit from a particular transformation. That's enough. Oftentimes in organizations, we forget that we are dealing with people. We want to act like we are dealing with systems and carry on, in a way as if we are not dealing with the animate and dealing with the inanimate. That's where sometimes the problem comes. Everyone wants to be valued. I've used that strategy over and over everywhere I've been, and that's what has worked for me. Being authentic and appreciating people and the contribution they bring to the table, and showing them their value, because sometimes they don't see their value, especially when they've been in an organization for a long time. So for me, it's just been about turning my opponents to my supporters. That is what has worked. And the other one, which is along the same lines, would be sometimes when you have team members that are disgruntled, they are your first line of stakeholders, actually. And the same strategy applies. It's about trying to show how valuable they are, how you need them, and the contribution they could make. But let me tell you, in leadership, you are not always going to win. Even if you tell a person how good they are or try to show them, there are some that will remain defiant. And that's where the other face of the coin of leadership comes in. You have to be assertive. You have to assert yourself in terms of how you want things to be. We are in organizations to serve first and foremost, and to transform and to contribute to the larger national agenda. And if people are not willing to do what they have to do, what has to be done? They can choose to stay and serve, or they can choose to leave and go where they can be happy. Unfortunately, that's what comes with leadership.
It sounds, many times when we talk about innovation, we always talk about the innovation itself. Rarely do we talk about the process, and it's almost like these responses are giving us a peek behind the innovation veil of, of, of what that could look like. Because, like Adaeze said, sometimes it's around change. People are reluctant to change. You have opponents, and it's really about deciding, when are you going to have a bloodied nose? When are you going to walk away from a fight? When are you going to stand your ground and be assertive? So a lot of things. There's a lot of transactions happening as we innovate in different organizations and corporate cultures. And we, as women, we need to be aware of those things that are happening. Realize that innovation does not happen in a bubble. So Kemi, I'm interested in your perspective on this portion of the conversation, around, as somebody who has iterated in different businesses and is now supporting entrepreneurs. How can we take some of these leadership lessons into our business?
One of the key things, and I think Mpono has mentioned it, is remembering that you work with people who are humans and not objects and not robots. I thought she was going to say, like, sometimes as leaders, we treat people who work for us as robots. You must get here, you must do this, you can't be tired, you can't have a bad day. I need it to be perfect all the time. So, part of being a leader is to understand you're dealing with humans, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with experiences, and sometimes, as she said, people who may have gone through change in a very negative way, when they come into your organization or your business, may take that with them. So what are the things you're willing to do to teach them, to help them change that experience that they've had, to embrace to embrace change? And that's why it's important to have champions. As a leader, they may not believe everything that you have to say about a new project unless you make it practical. Like, how is it going to make your life easier? How is it going to help them be better, be faster, to be able to do things to achieve the same result, but much, much easier for them. So one of the ways that I always recommend in innovation and in change is to do weekly success stories, like you've really all come together during your weekly meetings. So how was it? Who used the tool the best this week? You know, what are the success stories? And just really share with the whole team. And as you know, with humans, the more you hear good stories constantly, you're going to be more open. You're going to be more willing to give that change a chance and to try it. And that's where resistance starts coming down. You know, but again, it is all about creating that environment and understanding you're dealing with people. So your communication cannot come from, and it's maybe counterintuitive. It cannot come from how is it going to help the business. Yes, that's one aspect. When you're dealing with those that have to make the change, you have to come from how is it going to help you? What's in it for them? You know, why are they going to do it for you? How are they going to go through that whole process that is fraught with so many issues for a while before it gets better? How are they going to stay in that process until you get to the other side? And that's based on how you are as a leader, how you motivate them, how you value them, and how you ensure they understand they're going to benefit at the end.
Amazing, Kemi. One of the things that is coming up for me in this conversation is the role of emotional intelligence in navigating innovation. And I wonder whether that is a diversity conversation, because obviously we are all women, and emotional intelligence, according to research, I'm not the one saying it, is a hyper strength, right, for a lot of female leaders. So I wonder what role, and this is a question to everyone, right? What role does diversity play in fostering innovation in different organizations? And Mpono, I'll come to you, then I'll go to Adaeze, and we'll end with Kemi on this question.
Thank you, Dr. Glory. For me, it's about understanding that an individual is an individual. We often want to have uniformity. We want to show up. We expect that people will show up the same. I cannot show up as a man. I will show up as a woman. And that has to be understood, that I am a woman with a personality. A man is a man with their own personality. And this has nothing to do with the fact that I'm a woman. We just have to understand and do away with this existing biases that maybe women are less emotionally intelligent. Men are, my goodness, we've seen the other gender who are not emotionally intelligent, and we cannot generalize, right? But when it comes to women, they like to generalize. Basically, what I would like to say is, I think for women, it's important to understand our own personalities. I found that's something that has helped me quite a lot. Who am I as Mpono? What is it that I can? What's my personality? What do I need to tone down when? When do I need to increase the volume on a particular aspect of my personality? Yeah, that's what brings flavor to life. You talk in diversity. That's what gives life flavor. That's what gives organizations flavor. So how do I want to show up? I cannot show up the same in everything, in every space. I will show up differently in different spaces, but while I remain authentic, right? That's what I think. But it's important first to understand ourselves. It's important to understand what we can leverage on in different circumstances and what we can tone down in different circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. I love that personality angle. Adaeze, what is your perspective? How does diversity foster innovative ideas?
So I've seen this over and over again, throughout my career. And I have worked across two continents, right? Over 2 decades. in two rep offices, and I've worked with different types of people from different places, male and female. And ultimately, it's about the results. It doesn't matter the gender, so those biases don't exist in real terms. It's really about who is willing to do the work, who is open, who is open-minded, who wants to be trained, who wants to take up this project, who wants to, do the right things. It's really about your individuality. It's about your character. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female, okay? And I would also like to speak to this from the perspective of impact. We all go to school as girls and boys, and then we grow into adults and, decide on what career paths to follow. And it doesn't matter. The careers don't determine whether, it's a male or female that would go that path, right? It's about what you as an individual, as a human being, what you like to do, what you enjoy doing, what you're passionate about. And so the work I do within my space, which I enjoy so well, and I also try to make my team members enjoy, is the fact that we're impacting real human lives. And it doesn't matter who is doing it, so long as you can do it well. So long as you're able to understand the pain points of these customers, they come to you because they need help, because they don't know what to do. And so they would depend on your expertise, on your skill sets. They are not going to look at you because you're a male or female, within the marketplace. It's about who delivers the best value to them, So I think it's high time we stopped playing gender biases, in these places. I know they're real, and it cuts across in pay structures, it cuts across in promotions, it cuts across. But I would encourage female leaders, just keep at it, keep being diligent, do what makes you tick. You are female anyway, you're nurturers. We are nurturers, and that's one thing that has really helped me with my teams. I sort of like see them as human beings that they are, first of all, see them as people who have strengths and weaknesses, help them to develop, along both lines, where they have, strengths. We help them grow and become better. Where there are weaknesses, we also help to identify those and make them look better, and, apportion tasks according to where people can thrive better and feel more fulfilled, essentially. So again, it has nothing to do with whether I'm male or female. I'm still doing it and I'm still shining.
Love that. Love that. Shine on, Adaeze. Shine on, Adaeze. Kemi, what about you? What are your thoughts?
Okay, I mean, the statistics show that, since COVID, there are 3 times more women going into entrepreneurship than ever before, right? And one of the biggest challenges they are facing with is now creating advisory boards to help them grow their businesses, to help them innovate. And one of the things that has been found is diversity in the people that counsel you, that help you. And I have found when I was setting up my businesses, when I was trying to do advisory boards, was apart from, of course, who has subject matter, but also there are different parts of our world that we don't cater for. There are blind people that we don't take account of in our business. There are those that are autistic, that are growing part of our population that we don't take account of in our businesses. There are many different aspects. And I even believe that even on the boards, there should be somebody who is part of the general population of your business to be there on the boards, because they also bring a diversity to your business. There's a great story about when a set of people went into a factory and they were trying to say, oh, how can we reduce cost in this business? And they brought in consultants and they brought in, all these gurus. But the guy that actually fixed the problem was the janitor who who swept the floor. He saw the waste every single day. And he was able to tell them that this new machine that we've abroad is actually producing more waste than before. And the business was able to save $1 million by going back to the old machine. So sometimes it's diversity and understanding comes from different places as well. So as well as there's also, yes, it's important to have, gender diversity, but it's also about perspective diversity in your organizations, in your business. So I'm always like, somebody was a minority at one point. Women were a minority at one point, but now we are part of the mainstream. There are other parts of our world that are minority right now. If we cater to them, if we listen to them, we may find innovation that becomes the mainstream as well.
I love that the value of diverse perspectives, and I even have to say that's something that I've recently come across as well in my business. Recently, somebody sent me a message to say, "Oh, how do I cater for people with learning difficulties as part of my program?" And that was something that it's not a question I've gotten before, but it really did make me sit down and think about how am I creating diverse learning opportunities for the different type of women that I want.
Millions of them, millions. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thanks for that perspective, Kemi. So very powerful perspective. I can't believe we've been here for almost an hour. Like literally, we've been here for hours. This is such a riveting conversation. We've had Taya join in from London. Hi, Taya. We've had Chisom from Nigeria. We've had Eke from Nigeria. Eke says, I would love to be part of this talk, Dr. Glory. Don't worry, I'll see you on camera about how you can join. But yeah, fascinating conversation. And I want to end with this question. In fact, I have two questions, so I'm trying to put them together. The first one is, I think that there is a mindset shift almost that is required, and maybe I'm wrong, right? Transformative mindset shift that women leaders need to embrace in order to pioneer innovation, right? So my question to everyone, whether it's what Mpono was saying earlier about self-awareness, knowing yourself, whether it's around leading people better, whether it's about allowing diverse perspective, whatever it is. But I think my question is around, is there a mindset shift required? If there is, what is it? And finally, what is your advice to women who want to be pioneers in their industry? And that's my double-pronged question. My double-pronged question. So let me come to Adaeze, and then I'll come to Kemi, and I'll end with Mpono. So Adaeze.
Thank you, Dr. Glory. This is a great question, honestly. And, mindset is everything. And I can't forget, I would use this opportunity to say thank you so much, Dr. Glory, because you did talk to me about mindset as well, where I was just happy in my space, doing my own thing and excelling, and that was my comfort zone. And it was almost as though I was showing off. But now, you have taught me to show up, not just for myself, for every other person who thinks, they're doing so much, yet they're not being seen, right? And so it's important to have that mindset that the possibilities, you are more than who people say you are or what you think you are. There's just so much within us. So it's important to believe in yourself and know that it's whatever it is that you think about, that you do is really important for the greater good, essentially. And for female leaders that are aspiring, it's important to believe in yourself. It's really important. Believe in yourself, believe in what you do. Don't remain at the aspiration stage, essentially. Move from there. If there are gaps that you need to close, if you need help with coaching, with being visible, with being able to do things a bit differently, you can always seek out help. There's help everywhere. Dr. Glory here is an expert at that, to be honest. I can't stop. I can't stop talking about it to everyone, and anyone who cares to listen. But honestly, It's about time to own what you know, your abilities, your skill sets, your experiences, everything that you do, because it's really about you. It's about how much impact you can make outside of that comfort zone. See it's that there's so many other people that can benefit from what it is that you are here, to do, essentially. Yeah.
I love that, Adaeze. Adaeze, so two things. First of all, thank you so much for the plug. I was raising my hands. Yes, I'm here. I'm here to help. But I really love what you said, and I had to take notes in my phone immediately. That how showing up is very different from showing off. And I think many
Yeah.
times we conflate the two, and they're two separate things. So that's a fantastic. I'm stealing that line, Adaeze. I must tell you. I
It's
may
all
actually
right, free of charge.
keep it to myself. I'm joking. Okay. Thanks, Ades. It's a fantastic perspective there. Mpono, I'll come to you next.
Oh, me. I was busy basking in my head about how this phenomenal woman from Nigeria came and turned my world upside down, and now I'm here. Your two-pronged question, Dr. Glory. The mindset shift, definitely. Definitely. There's no innovation, there's no influence, there's no leading anything without a mindset shift. And for me, I would say the greatest challenge that women have is having that imposter syndrome, not believing in ourselves. Adaeze mentioned it. We have to believe in ourselves. We have to own the value that we have contributed. We have to own our achievements, really, and talk about them. Not showing off, right? As you've just said, we are not showing off. We are showing up, and we are communicating what we have been able to do. So we need that mindset shift from believing, from moving from thinking we are self-promoting, when in fact we are communicating and we are highlighting the things that we have been able to achieve and how we can be used better to advance our economies and our communities. My advice to women is that who are aiming to lead, who are you? Who are you? What have you been doing? Have you told anybody else about what you've been doing? Because if you are in the background, hiding in your house, moving from work to your house, they say like a door. You know how a door moves? It has only two directions. That's not going to help. How many are you building networks? How many can you even say 20 strategic networks that you build? Or you are like me, when I started, I couldn't even go past 3 to say I have these 3 people that are my strategic networks. So that's what needs to happen. But if I know that most of you might be like me, you don't know where to start. You don't know where to start. You don't know how to reframe your value proposition. Dr. Glory is here to help you do that. She's here to bring it all out. I never knew and I never understood the value that I have really contributed until she showed up in my life and we were able to discover all these things that were lying there dormant. So please, just join Dr. Glory's program, and she's your girl from Nigeria. I love her.
Amazing. Guys, I have to tell you, I didn't pay them for this endorsement. I must say, because people are like, what is happening? I must say that I didn't pay them for this endorsement, but I accept it nonetheless. I must tell you. So thank you very much. And I love that, what you said. I had to take it down as well. I'm like, these my women they're spitting out quotes. We are not self-promoting, we are communicating. Right. I love that. Again, another thing I'm stealing from today's from today's session. Okay, we are fast running out of time, so I'm just going to go straight to Kemi.
So they've talked about mindset. So as an analytical person, I say that the biggest transformation is always when you are able to audit and reflect, right? And to be able to do that most of the time is to put yourself through a process in which you can share, in which you can be vulnerable, in which you can put all you've done on the table and actually get feedback. And that's one of the most transformative things on this program was being with these amazing women. I think there were 7 of us all together. And when we shared, and the things that you have thought was, oh, this is just what I do, other people are like, what? Serious? You did that? And then you're suddenly like, really? Is it? Is it? By week 4, you are like, and I did. And by week 12, you are just like, as they say, you are transformed. You have owned your whole authenticity. I called it coming from a caterpillar into a butterfly. That's the process that we go through. That's the transformation. A butterfly is beautiful in all its color, in all its purpose, and it works for nature and visual as well. So that's why when you show up, you're beautiful, but inside you're also beautiful, and the purpose and impact that you have is also beautiful. So to be able to lead as women, and for those aspiring, you have to be able to have gone through a transformation. I truly believe that. That's why mindset is important, because you're transformed, but you have to physically experience a transformation. Because once you know what's possible, you are able to want that for everybody. That's why we can't stop talking about it. And when they feel your passion, they are going to want to also have a piece of that cake as well.
Yeah.
And that's how you are able to help others do things that are impossible. You're going to be able to do things that feel hard in your business, and it'll be easy because you know what it takes to get to the other side and just have that feeling of achievement, of wholeness, of completion, of being a true butterfly.
I love that. I love that, Kemi. I love the caterpillar to butterfly analogy. But I also love what you say about that internal visibility, right? A butterfly is, even though it was a caterpillar, always had the butterfly in them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it always had that. And it's what I say to people is that the visibility, people think visibility is about the outward. The first part about visibility is to see yourself.
Yeah.
The moment you see yourself, you can't shut up, because you realize it's not about you, it's about the value you carry and how that value helps others, right? And that's what we are talking about here in terms of innovating, being an innovative leader, right? Leading with emotional intelligence, change management, all of that. It's really about understanding how you give back, how your ideas lead to transformation, and how you carry people along on that journey.
Yes.
Fantastic conversation. I'm so sad that we have to wrap it up, but I must say a huge thank you to my guests today. They have been phenomenal. As I told you they would be from the start, right? I said at the beginning that I had fantastic women on with me today, and I'm sure you would say that they did not disappoint. Adaeze, thank you. Mpono, thank you. Kemi, thank you. I've learned a lot today about what innovation means. It's really about challenging the convention, right? And it's about creating the room and the atmosphere for curiosity, for openness, for inclusion, for diversity of ideas and perspectives. But it's also about innovation management, about leading people through that change in a way that is not about looking at human beings as inanimate objects, but as actual human beings, and seeing them for what they are and leading them through that process by valuing them, by changing opponents into supporters, and also by realizing that as a leader, you don't always win. And when you don't win, what do? How you become assertive, right? Because it's not about you. it's about the change for the organization, for the people that you serve. But fundamentally, it's also about listening. Innovation is about listening, because the innovation is for the customer, it's for the end user. So what do they need? And innovation can look like different things for different people. So that's why it's very important that we listen. Fantastic lessons here. But it's also about the women who lead innovation. It's also about their mindset. How do you see yourself? How do you see your contribution? Are you showing up, not showing off? Are you seeing yourself, right? And I think that's fundamental. So I'm going to say thank you again to everyone that is watching. If you're watching this conversation later, please, the women that are on this session are tagged in the description for this session. So please follow them, engage with their content. I mean, they are brilliant women. So it's amazing. So connect with them, engage with their content, build that network. They have so much value to add. Feel free to connect with me if you have any questions on how to appear on the series. Feel free to get in touch. Okay, I'm going to say good night, and see you soon. Good night, everybody.